let's show you the important tasks of the bandsaw. First thing overall that you find on your sheet, you guys will all have your same safety sheet as this, is the name of the tool, as we already told you, is our bandsaw. This tool is used for large cuts that are not available on the scroll saw. Question number 3. Important parts on the bandsaw. Important parts are the power switch, here, on and off, with our light switch here that we can turn on our light. Then we have our table, we have our blade guard, we have our blade, and our blade guard adjustments over here on the side for these jet blades. And so what you do is you loosen the tightening nut here, adjust the blade guard up or down, and then tighten it back in place where you need it. Remember, your blade guard, you want always less than 1 finger, so that then your material and your fingers don't get caught within there. Then if we were on one of our bigger bandsaws from the wood shop and not in the tech lab, at the bottom side over here, you would have a brake to step on it with your foot. One thing that's always required with the bandsaw is if you turn it on, you put them on. Safety glasses are always required to utilize any of our major power tools in the shop. So let's turn this on and start showing you some cuts. First cut we're going to do is just a straight long cut. Let's mark it out for you. We're just going to cut the edge off this material. So what you want to do is lay out what you have to cut. Simple line written down right there. And since we already just set up our blade guide with my finger, we want to tighten that into place. And we'll start with our longest cut. We want to only make forward cuts on the bandsaw. Since the blade is actually running on 2 separate tires, if we do any back out cuts, the blade's going to fall off and then it may damage the equipment or break the blade, or most certainly we'll have to reset it. So please make sure only to go forward cuts and keep moving forward. 2 hands on the material, bring it up to my blade and slide it right on through. Turn the blade off. And then if we were having a larger floor model, there would definitely be a brake that you could step on the brake pedal to help slow the machine down. As these are our benchtop models, they do not have a brake associated with them. If on the cuts that you're going to be making is going to be a curved cut, let's give us a nice curve. With our curved cuts, they're a little more difficult. You always want to keep moving forward on the cut so that you can follow it all the way around. But then also with a tight curve such as this, it's easiest to help the blade because that's kind of a thick blade on there. You want to help it by making relief cuts. So that's little cuts coming in through around the corner. That's every time that it comes up to a relief cut, it'll relieve the piece of wood there so we don't twist or torque the blade. Same with that, you can't start your curves this way. You have to start your curve from where you're going to enter it and then follow and rotate it around. Alright, the bandsaw only has a straight blade, and so you have to move your material to go around the bandsaw with it. Whenever you cut a line on here, you want to save the line. The bandsaw is an excellent machine to use, but with it, you're going to get some rough cuts because those big teeth are in there, and you're going to have to sand down to the line eventually. So when you cut, you want to stay just barely on the outside of this line so that then you can sand down to the line using a power sander, a file, or just hand sandpaper depending on how well you can cut. So let's show you that. I'm going to begin with my relief cuts, straight in on these lines. Following it all the way around the curve. As you can see, I have my relief cuts cut all the way through where my curve is going to be on the other side, following that line. Then I'm going to start my entry point and follow it all the way around. Now as you can see, I've saved the line on my material. My line was a little wide going there. You can see on my tabletop, I have all my relief bits sitting here. I can then come back again if I need to and cut this closer. And made a much closer cut, but there's still a piece of line all the way around. Turn off the machine, wait for it to come to a complete stop, or if I'm on my floor model, I'll gently press my brake, and then clean off the tool. Should I clean off with my hands? Definitely not. Always use a hand broom or a dustpan of any size and shape that is most appropriate for you to be able to brush off your surface. Grabbing a dustpan, I can take it, and being here in the machine shop, utilize my dustpan so it's not just on the floor like I would put in the wood shop, but then take it over to the trash can and throw it away. Finally, step number 5, things that you should never be done while using the tool. Number 5, you should never be pressing the brake, that stop pedal, while the machine is running. Running the brake on here will ruin the wheel on the bottom half because the brake utilizes the tension on the inside here, and you'll break the machine. Never twist the blade. If you are cutting into it, don't just take your material and twist it out to the side. Just by twisting it sideways, you're going to twist this blade in here, and then since it's all long and continuous, twisting this blade is going to break it and have it snap. Finally, the last thing you should never do is never put your fingers straight in line with the blade. As you can see, there's a channel right here that the blade guides through if I'm replacing the blade for you. Your fingers should never be straight up the blade. That's how you get injured with it. Always keep your hands separated on either side of the table. Let's show you important things to remember while using the tool. If the blade breaks, you want to stay away from the machine. Back away and let the machine stop spinning, because it's going to feed this blade out this way like it's a piece of barbed wire that's a whip, and you don't want to touch it. Don't even try to turn it off. Just stay safe and away. After you see that all that motion stopped, then turn off the blade, the bandsaw. Notify your instructors to come and fix. Always do your shortest cuts first and then your long cuts. So showing you here on another piece of material, if I'm going to take a long cut here, and then we're going to notch it out so that we're making like part of a shelf or something, I want to do this cut first and then follow it with this cut. Alright, so number 1, then number 2. With that, then by putting this cut in there, it's like putting in one of those relief cuts around for the curve. So when I follow it up with this long cut, the material will just follow itself off. So let's make that cut for you now. Set my material on the table. Bring the blade guard back down, keeping it less than 1 finger so my finger doesn't want to go into that blade. Tighten it in place. Safety glasses are already on, so I can turn it on. Material clearly to the sides, slide it in. Back it out, then go for my long cut. And as you can see, it separates itself from the material. That way you can make your longest cut last and your material's free and clear. Then finally, one last thing on here is if you're doing any finishing through cuts, like I'm going to finish all the way through this material. So let's give ourselves one last line so that we can finish this all the way through. I want to cut this whole edge right off this board. I want to start my cut with my hands in front, but then when I'm finishing through the cut, I'm going to reach around the material so that I'm on the back side of it and pull it out.
Reach around.
Finish cutting through my material. Thank you for watching Safety Rules on the Bandsaw.